It's time now for the KC Ingram Show on WSTU. The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not necessarily those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time to call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788, 220-WSTU. And now, here's KC Ingram.
The KC Ingram Show is sponsored in part by Meridian Marina and Yacht Club in Palm City. Meridian Marina and Yacht Club is located on the banks of the St. Lucie River in Palm City and is the premier marina in Martin County, focusing on excellent customer service so you can enjoy your boating lifestyle. Meridian Marina offers concierge services, yacht club amenities, sales, and service surrounded in a lush tropical setting. Meridian Marina is the largest marina in Martin County on 11 3/4 acres with a 62,000 square foot indoor storage facility that can accommodate up to 300 boats. Meridian Marina is not just a place to store your boat. When you become a member of Meridian Marina and Yacht Club, you can enjoy events such as trips to the Bahamas, snorkeling adventures, marina parties, and more. Check out their events tab at meridianmarina.com. You can also try out their great service department that's open 6 days a week from 8 to 4. Call them up at 772-221-8198, 221-8198, or visit them online at meridianmarina.com. At Meridian Marina, we do all the work so you can enjoy your boating lifestyle. And also, the ABCs, Alliance for Better Community Schools, would like to remind you to vote yes for an appointed superintendent on November 6, 2018. Let's hire a professional, not a politician. So good evening, Stuart. We have another great show on tap. In the studio tonight with me, I have Jessica Gaffney, and she actually reached out to me after the Parkland shootings, and it's certainly touched everybody. And she's an author of, I'm thinking, what is it, 15 books? Or 7 books?
Just 7 so far.
Just 7. For some reason, I had 15. I had 15 years of book publishing world. That's where I had that from. But one of her latest books is called The Love Principle, and it's something that she wanted to reach out and talk about with everything that's going on with Parkland and kids in general. This is something that touches us deeply, and I welcome you to the show, Jessica.
Thanks so much, Casey.
Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm originally from Connecticut, and I moved down here to Florida and began doing some support groups for domestic violence. Saw a big need in the community for women who were traumatized and just were unable to reach out and find the right services. I do have a background in social work. I was working with families outside D.C. for a few years with troubled kids, teen pregnancy, and just fell in love with our community down here and wanted to keep working on the family to see how we could prevent some of these issues.
You certainly have, and you've worked again, like you said, with the family with domestic violence and human trafficking issues, so you're well in tune with the human psyche and a lot of things that are going on. I've previously had shows on human trafficking, and they talked about how the target were girls that maybe, as you're walking through the mall, might be somebody that's hoping and fishing for a compliment. They look for girls that they might think have lack a little self-confidence and try to befriend them, and it was just really sad how quickly confidence can be earned with the strangers. And this is something that, with the Love Principle, you're trying to point out a lot of different signs where people can identify if somebody's reaching out silently.
You are right about that. We feel that the Love Principle works for teenagers. They can find a healthy relationship by seeing if someone is listening to them and observing any changes in their behavior to show that they're maybe getting sad or depressed or upset, and then validating how they feel and being encouraging. They need encouragement from their parents and their friends. And also, if someone needs help, they would encourage them to go get it.
Absolutely. And how does the Love Institute impact families in our area? And tell us a little bit about the Love Institute, please.
Sure. The Love Institute started here in April of 2017. Like I said, I've been working here on the Treasure Coast for a few years. And that was with a different nonprofit that I also own called Restart. And the two kind of came together when I realized that parents needed some education on how they could reach out to their kids. And if you didn't want to bring someone in and say, hey, I think there's, a mental health issue with my kid, maybe parents would give me an opportunity to show them how to use the Love Principle to get their kid to sit down and open up. Because a lot of times teens are so caught up in their world or life when their parent asks how they're doing, they're really looking for something else. And they're willing to talk, but we're missing the signs. So the Love Principle helps them figure that out. So I do teach in online class, and I see people in my office here in Stuart to help them through private sessions one-on-one.
And in fact, Jessica, this kind of came about when you were having a conversation with your son in the car. Isn't that correct?
It
Where he
is.
said, "Why can't you talk to me like his coach does?"
That's right. He totally surprised me.
And that happens a lot. The kids can relate to an adult that might be a teacher or somebody because they have a different interaction than a parent does. You recognize that, and hence the love principle came about.
They have an unemotional reaction. That's exactly it. We were driving home from practice one night, and he said, "Why can't you listen to me like Coach Tom?" And I paused and thought, oh my, what am I doing wrong? And yet it was right there in his voice. He wanted me to really listen and hear his heart and not jump in and think what the ramifications were going to be of what he was telling me, but just hear what he was telling me.
Sometimes they just want you to listen, right? Mm-hmm. So, when you first contacted me, it's a tough time. It was the Parkland shooting, and we're still, obviously there's news about that even today. What is your response to the recent tension in our area? We just had a town hall. You saw a lot of tension in that. It was sponsored by school board member Rebecca Negron, and you were there that evening. And it's very, people are definitely upset. It's a very emotional and raw topic right now.
Not only is it a raw topic, I think we need to handle it where everyone's voice matters. And if you have a solution, we need to step forward, which is why I did. It's just a part of a solution. And that evening when people were talking about, everything from take our guns away to armed teachers to students who said, hey, we feel scared, the main person there who I think was able to calm everyone down was the therapist from Tykes and Teens. And Jeff Shearer was really good talking about it's the family, folks, and he wasn't trying to open our eyes. He was trying to empower us by saying, parents, we're the biggest influence in our kids' life. And if we're not telling them to not drink and not do drugs and not experiment with risky behaviors and sexuality and whatever we deem that is, they're going to listen to someone else. But it's so encouraging to know that teens are still saying parents are the number one influence. All across the board in any research you look at, they are identifying their caretaker or parent as the number one positive influence.
That's very important to hear, especially in today's day and age, as we see our children go off to school and they come back and they're picking up other mannerisms.
Oh, yes.
You do recognize that, but it all starts at home. Jessica, are there any emotional signs of distress that teens show when they're running into issues or problems? Maybe they're being bullied.
I think withdrawal is number one. If you're noticing day 1 or day 2 that your kid is being a little more quiet, when you get to day 3 and day 4, if they've got their headphones in all the time, if they're snappy, if they're not eating, if they're oversleeping, if there's any changes, I really love mentioning the love principle, because the observe is right in front of your face. Your kid might not tell you, but their actions are certainly showing you. So more distress would then be what's going on with their social media. So parents really need to be on there and finding out not only who they're interacting with, but what type of comments are being left on their social media, or something in the blink of an eye can happen. You remember high school.
Oh, yes.
Somebody
absolutely.
just say, so-and-so kissed so-and-so, and the next thing you know, there's a fight in the hallway. So today they have all of that online and in the hallway.
And that's what's so tough about it, Jessica, is everything is online now, and that's a whole new bullying that you and I are not familiar with because there was no internet when we were in high school. And, to have that additional resource for bullying has been really detrimental for a lot of kids. Do you notice a certain age that starts happening? Or, because social media is one of those things. I have a young daughter, but she doesn't have a social media account, but she still has access at school to computers and, other kids that have computers. So,
sure. I think it's not just starting maybe when the bullying can occur, but when kids have access to social media, they are being influenced by what a TV show or someone else's opinion is telling them is normal. So we have certain TV shows coming out now that are pushing different agendas where kids might start to question everything from their identity, what's sexually appropriate. I know there's a new Netflix show that I saw posting a sexual relationship between an aunt and her niece, and I'm thinking, why is this entertainment? This is confusing. This is called incest. We report this.
Right.
And now it's out here as entertainment.
Right. That's a very good point. And that's why parents really have to be involved with what their children are watching. And again, the LOVE principle stands for listen, observe, validate, encourage. What can we do as parents to help out? We may see other children or, our friends, our children's friends.
I love this topic because I say there's secret doors. If you feel like your teen or child is pushing you out of their world, they still have secret doors. In fact, door slams mean come knock on my door, try harder, stupid. It sounds crazy, but we remember feeling left alone when our parents would not respond. I had a situation when I was younger when I wanted my dad to react and tell me not to go do something. So I would come home really late and expect him to be there and be mad. And when he wasn't up and there was no one there, I had quite a sense of rejection because my other friends had curfews and stuff. So for parents, when you're trying to connect with your teen, make sure they hear your heart. Take a second to think about your word choice. Think about how your teen is going to hear what you're saying and how they're going to respond. Everything that they're saying and showing you is their response. Take it to heart. Don't keep hammering your point forward. So when you're going to take away their cell phone, realize that you're taking away their access to their social life, which is where they hide their emotions, and that helps calm them down. If you take the phone away, you need to replace it with something, maybe one-on-one time with the parent, a special dinner, a movie that you can watch together. You can't just punish them without replacing the sense of attachment that they need. So however you choose to parent, if you just keep the goals in mind that you need to listen to your kid with the love principle, listen to what they're saying, observe how they're reacting to what you're telling them, and validate how they feel, they love that.
Jessica, you're saying a lot of important things here, and with this Parkland shooting in particular, mental health issues have come out, and part of it is kids that have been feeling rejection all along.
Yes.
And, this is so important. So what do you do to offer help for these teens in crisis? Do you have some programs?
Right now we're working to try to get Martin County to take a look at putting the love principle as part of their character counts so that students can say, hey, bullying's not okay, but here's what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to go befriend the kid sitting alone, or I'm going to go try to befriend the person who's being bullied, because as we all know, bullies have a lot of abuse going on at home. Verbal abuse and physical abuse is usually rampant in a bully's life. So the programs are more in development, but in the office, we do offer groups, especially for moms, trying to do something for mothers who have a child who've been sexually abused, because we do have services here in the county through all of our social service agencies. I'd like to mention them really quick.
Sure.
Helping People Succeed, we have Suncoast Mental Health, we have Tykes and Teens, and I might be forgetting a few. We don't have anything for the parents to begin to know how to handle their child, because they see a therapist 1 hour a week, sometimes it's less. The parent needs to know how to connect with their kids. So I brought in this children's book today, What Love is All About, and I have it available online, and it has some questions in there for parents to understand how to connect with their child. So if a child feels a sense of love at home, then when somebody's being negative to them at school, it doesn't hit as deep because they have a better connection with their parent in their heart.
And that actually is very important. Again, it comes back to, as you said, the parent plays the biggest role in a child's life.
Yes. And
you can't ever forget that. Jessica, do you see that guns are a part of the problem?
Yeah. And I don't think it's just metal guns in your hand. I think a lot of it is what you're shooting online in a video game. Guns, assault weapons, whatever we're looking at, people have these ideas way before they purchase a gun. I've had my own situations in domestic violence where it could be, knives, it can be threats, it can be finances, it can be whatever you're taking away. We didn't have guns as a sense of bullying when we were growing up. We had other means of, people pulling violent pranks on each other, or even school rivalries.
Right.
So, yes, we want to be safe because weapons are so easily used against people. But I happened to just hear a story the other night of a gentleman who was he got locked out of a house and was trying to break the door open and ended up shooting his father through the heart. That was completely done on accident, but caused by a gun.
Right. And you're right. I liked how you said there's different kind of guns. I mean, we all think of the assault rifle when we hear gun these days, but there's a lot of different ammunition, isn't there? And it could be just nasty words, and it could be bullying online. There's a lot of different ways to.
Well, sure. We could even make it funny. I have a 3.5-year-old, and his older brother got him a Nerf gun for Christmas, and it had been a prayer. Every night in his prayer was he wanted his brother to show him how to shoot a gun up high, because he saw his older brother with this Nerf gun, and he found him a little handgun, and now we do it in the wind, and it becomes kind of a guess of where's it going to go. But sometimes kids need to understand simple thing like this. When they go to the Humane Society and they pick up a pet, met, my cat and dog had both been shot by BB guns. So
Wow.
accidents happen, and we forget that even the animals we love can get hurt.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. And Jessica, you have a lot of different programs. One of the things I noticed that you have spoken at a lot of the local schools, like the Pine School and John Carroll High School, with your programs, and it's about this as well as the Human Trafficking Coalition as well. How do people contact you in case they want to speak with you or maybe have you come to their class or school or group?
They can get a hold of me. My office number is 772-242-6335, and my website is Jessica Gaffney, that's double F's, NEY.com.
JessicaGaffney.com. And that would be the best way to get a hold of you is the website or the phone. I'm going to bring your son. He's over here. Very, very much appreciate you doing the live Facebook feed over here. But I have a couple questions for you. You're with the ROTC. And, what do you think teens are feeling at this moment, at this time and age?
I think most of them are just at a shock right now because they don't know what to feel or think because they couldn't even imagine that happening at their own school until it does. And so they're in a fear state and of the unknown, which can never be predicted.
Nathan, when you're going to school, do you feel safe where you're going right now? I assume you're going to one of the local schools here in Martin County. We do have, I ask you this because we have a few more things that have been put into controls for the schools, some hardening, some fences around the school, and the sheriff has been out. How did students feel? Do they feel safe or they feel more should be done?
Well, at my school specifically, Johnson Beach High School, we don't have a fence, but it's basically just a huge, this is a whole school is just a wall.
Okay.
And inside, so everything's inside. Otherwise, they added more security now, but there's constant people walking around campus. Also, when you come into the parking lot, there's also a security guard there. Otherwise, you can't get into any door unless someone buzzes you in.
Okay.
And I think the glass is now, every single glass, I think is now hurricane-proof or bulletproof. So at some point, it will definitely slow people down, otherwise not even be able to get in.
Right, which is obviously a good thing. Nathan, are there social factors that you think could prevent this issue?
I think if more people understand the problem and stop thinking of it as, oh, this won't happen, or maybe it's a joke, and take it more seriously, because right now a lot of stuff is more literal than practical. So if they speak up and let others know that this may actually be a problem, then it could definitely help.
Because as a teenager in the school, you're on the front lines with other kids that may be being bullied, or you may see them being bullied. So you see, as kids, you see it firsthand probably before the adults do. So it's real important for the kids to speak up as well, right?
Yeah.
Nathan, thank you very much. Your input's very important. I appreciate your help here this evening.
Thank you.
Jessica, so you've written the 5 books, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about what love is all about. And you had mentioned on here that there was the questions that you talk about, questions for kids.
Yes.
I'm going to read these questions, but what age is this tailored for?
2 to 7.
2 to 7. So they're simple questions. What makes you feel loved?
It's an important question.
It is. It really is, and it's something probably most people overlook asking, a simple question like that. What makes you happy? Another simple question.
I'm laughing because most kids are going to say cookies.
Mine would say her dog.
Okay.
Or chocolate. What do you get? What gets you sad? What makes you feel better? What do you help? Or who do you help when they feel sad? And how can I love you more? Mm-hmm. That last one's a very important question. How can I love you more? What kind of answers do you get to that one?
I don't read the book too much to the younger kids, but teachers can do that, and parents, Sunday school teachers will do that. Some of the kids just think about it, but if the adult reading the book gets a hold of this, they have the opportunity to hear that the kid might need to be loved maybe in a different way. Mm-hmm. Not all kids like to be held so tight, right, or with kisses on their head. Some kids might just want, a lemonade, or they might want to play ball with daddy. When do you get sad? That's an opportunity to find out what's going on in their school or in another area of their life. Maybe they're homeschooled, or, there's something going on their sports team. When you read to your kids at night, you have the opportunity to ask them questions. So hopefully they can take these questions and apply it to any other story they're reading. But who helps you feel better is to also find out what other influences are going right in their life, if it's a teacher or a coach or a neighbor. when we say, who do you help when they feel sad? This is a big part of my love principle, is you give love away. You need to receive it properly, but as a kid, they have the power to go help another kid feel loved. And that's when you can find out who their friend is that needs help. So when they say, how can I love you more? That's from the reader. And they get a special one-on-one time with their kid to feel important, authentic, attached.
Very nice. And these books, can they be purchased on Amazon as well?
Yes.
Okay. So if you look up Jessica Gaffney, I'm sure you have 5 different books that'll show up. Going back to the love principle a little bit too, we had talked about it works for bullying, teen dating violence, spotting predators, reporting threats, suicidal ideation. Jessica, you had mentioned you one of the signs would be withdrawal, but I'm sure there's some other signs as well that parents need to keep their eyes open for.
Yeah, let's look at 2 big ones we talked about, teen dating violence and the sex trafficking. If you have a child who's always making excuses or is really tense, if they're always checking their cell phone because something is going on, that's going to be a yellow flag. I use yellow flags because if you get 2 or more, you do have a red flag there.
Okay.
When you're looking at sex trafficking, it's all of a sudden a kid who might have come into an extreme amount of money, or there's sudden drug use, or something new is being used. What a lot of people don't realize is that kids, in order to get away from being abused, will have to bring in another child. So if your daughter goes to an apartment complex to hang out with her friend, the mom there could easily involve her daughter in trafficking, and to throw that predator off of her, they bring in the friend, and they use a lot of online bullying. So if you're ever taking nude shots or using sexting, these pictures will be used against you. And one thing I like to tell kids too, especially for boys, if they're online and they're liking all these nude photos, you need to remember somebody else might be taking that picture and it's not her, and she's being held against her will. And the more that you like that photo, the more the price is going up for her. So you can prevent it by watching better stuff.
And well, Jessica, this is a very real problem, and right here in Martin County, oftentimes we feel safe here in Martin County, and Sheriff Snyder does an amazing job, and we don't always hear of a lot of crime, but it's truly happening, and the fact that we don't hear about it simply means they haven't been caught.
Maybe they will after today.
Yeah, that's right. Got to keep an eye on those signs. But it is a big problem, the human trafficking in particular.
Yes.
You know, I've had the shows on here before, and it surprised me how much it's in our everyday life everywhere, and right here is no exception. So.
All right.
So JessicaGaffney.com. Make sure it's
or theloveprinciple.org.
Or theloveprinciple.org. Again, could you shout out your phone number?
772-242-6335. Jessica Gaffney.
And you do individual counseling, group counseling, and you'll also go to schools.
Yes.
Speak with groups and church groups, what have you. So, Jessica Gaffney, The Love Principle, very important show here this evening. Appreciate you coming here to the studio.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.